Hello. I'm a painter. I'm actually a painter that's not tremendously interested in art. I'm really, a bit like most people that we use things. If I think I can get something from something, I'll take it. Otherwise, and I think most painters are actually like that. So the pictures I'm going to show you are pictures painted by other artists, very famous artists that we all have massive amounts of respect for very good reasons. And just give you a take on them. So the 20 paintings that changed the way that I look at paintings. Caravaggio, he uses central perspective and pushes this approach to its limits. Perspective helps us to understand depth in paintings. But just like in photography, foreshortened arms look a bit strange. Cézanne, was he a good draftsman? Well, he played around with this idea of central perspective, and as you can see, the plate is painted from a bird's perspective. The table is leaning forward like a ski slope, and the pear is standing on its own. Picasso took it a step further. This actually works really well if you imagine that you've got maybe 6 or 7 pairs of eyes and you're moving at the same time. If you look at it in that perspective, it's actually an amazing piece of work. And those eyes, they're filled with tears. How did he do that? David Hockney, he took the ideas of Picasso and played around with them a bit. The idea that the viewer had more than one pair of eyes. And a lot of paintings are like this, actually, because this also documents a period of time. It's not a split second like a normal snapshot. Okay, subject matter. Interesting thing. Monet, he painted Rouen Cathedral. No, he didn't. He painted the light. He was interested in light. In fact, there's a famous quote of him arriving at a place of one of his subjects 10 minutes after he should have done and saying, "It's too late, I'll have to come back tomorrow." Matisse, well, the figures themselves might not be up to much, you could say. I personally think they're wonderful. But it's the dance, it's the movement, it's the feeling, it's the fun. That's the subject of this painting. The grace with which the figures move, you can't stop but follow them. Bonnard, what's this about? Yes, it's colour. He was absolutely obsessed with colour, laying one layer of colour on top of another. Picasso, well, he didn't really get it on this particular occasion because he said about Bonnard that it was a sea of indecision. Bit harsh. Kandinsky, his subject matter was music. He painted to music. And as you can see, the rhythmic tempo of the harmonious colours is a bit like music. That was his subject matter. Nothing else. To him, music was like a still life. Roquet, the gesture. Turner, you don't paint this picture sitting down. The storm, it moves quickly. The brushstrokes, they completely reflect the movement of the air. What's actually shown is the feeling of the storm. Now, we had this one earlier on. Someone stole my thunder there. Freud, sculptural gesture. The paint's laid on thickly. Each little shape on the face has got its own direction. It's got its own purpose. It all adds up to something sculptural. It's like he's running his hands across his own face. Now, Van Gogh's subject was something else. He allowed the wind of Provence to direct his hand. What's the subject here? Is it trees and grass and sky? No, it's the air moving around. And you can see how he's allowed that to literally push his brush after him. So if we talk about gestures, well, we don't even show the paintings of Jackson Pollock. It's the gesture itself that's the subject. He drips, he draps, he throws the paint. And actually the subject matter is the movement of his body combined with how the paint ends up on the canvas. Now, we've also got to talk about intensity. Vermeer. This painting's less than a foot square. It's in the museum in Amsterdam with nothing else anywhere near it because nothing else can live with it. It's almost like an alien landed on the planet or a time traveller from our time Landed back in the 16th century and painted that picture because it's so modern. Rothko, bit of dab of paint here and there, you may say. Intensity, unbelievable intensity. If you don't believe me, sit in front of a Rothko for 5 minutes and just look at it. You will get it, I promise. Morandi, still silent, still life. A bit on the boring side, but that's the whole point. He just twisted the bottle once, he replaced a bowl here or there, and he doesn't really care whether you like it or not. The quiet of the room. We can hear the silence. It's screaming at us. It's so on the edge, we daren't even move in case we disturb her. The subject, obviously, is not just the light and the door. The subject is the atmosphere. Now we've got to talk about beauty a little bit. To finish off with Rembrandt, well, what can I say that he doesn't say in that piece of painting? The emotion that he was able to engender each brushstroke with is second to none. Unbelievable. Do you agree with me? Yep. The wonderful Velázquez. It's wonderful to know when you look at this painting that there is water in those jugs. We know it, don't we? We want some of it in that glass. It's so sensuous. And the beauty of these figures, well, unbelievable. Here we've got some real stodgy Victorianism. Lots of symbolism. But the dog, it's just heavenly. That faithful dog. We know that's exactly how child's feet hang. And that officer guy without the specs, those reading glasses that we tuck away in our pockets and we never can find. Oh, yeah, and we're finished with this one. Lady Agnew. I bumped into her in Edinburgh once. Not her, but the painting, and it just blew me away. I mean, she's nothing special, but the painting is just unbelievable. It's the way the paint's been put on. All of those paintings, I think, do something that great painting does, and that's make us see something special that we haven't seen before. Thank you.